Hello, my name is Ryan. So, what are we going to do? We're going to go through 0 through 5 of Bandit Over the Wire. It's a pretty cool challenge for people who are just trying to get into cybersecurity, just trying to get into some Linux commands, get a little bit more comfortable with them. So, thought we should run through them, give a little bit more explanation. I know there's a ton of written solutions online, but it's always helpful just to see someone do it live, see someone talk through it, maybe some frustrations, some obstacles you may hit along our journey here. So, let's dive right into it. And I will stop showing you my OBS studio and my desktop. Great. Here we are, Bandit Over the Wire. We see for level 0, right, we are asked to SSH into something called bandit.labs.overthewire.org on a specific port, right? So let's break that down a little bit. First up, SSH. This is actually going to be a command that we use in Linux, in our Linux terminal, to connect to remote host. Right? What do I mean by that? From my computer, where I'm sitting right now, the computer I'm touching, I know my keyboard isn't my computer, right? But just think of it as one. I'm actually able to connect to and control other hosts that are online, that are open to SSH connections, right? So we are going to use this SSH command. We're going to use it to connect to bandit.labs.overthewire.org, right? This is the name of the computer I'm connecting to. And then lastly, we're talking about which port, right, is this service running on. Port 2220 is where SSH is running. So we'll show what that means in just a second here. They give us username and password, right? But first, let's go through the syntax, right? Let's see what this actually looks like. So if I want to SSH connect, right, I know Callie is going to spoil it a little bit. What I could do is I could type in SSH, right? If I look at the man page here, we could see, help. If I look, man SSH. If we look at the man page here, right, we can get a quick synopsis about SSH, right, and learn a little bit about it. Gives us a description, right, gives us some different option flags. So, all interesting stuff. We don't really need too much of these. The only option flag we're going to need here is going to be -P for port, right, and that should come up after O if the alphabet that I was taught is correct, and it does. So all we're going to need actually for this first challenge is this -P port. I'm going to talk about a common misconception, right? Something that might have happened to you all while you tried this for the first time. So I'm going to clear my screen by typing in clear and hitting enter. I'm going to type out the command itself, SSH. Right, so we got SSH, and the syntax for SSH is going to be username, @, right? Similar to what you see in emails. Host name, right? /IP address, could be either or. And then when you hit enter, you're going to have to input a password, right? Since we know that this is on port 220, right? 2220, we're actually going to need to put a -P and then the port number, right? So just keep that in mind. So this, at its core, is the syntax for our SSH command, right? So if I go back to the problem, and if I grab all of this information, I could really just plug and play, right? I could just plug and play and answer this right off the bat. So let's do that. I'm going to hit enter just so that we have this template still up, even though it's not a legitimate command. First up, SSH. Username is going to be bandit0. How do I know that? Because it says right here, bandit0. Next up is going to be that @ I told you about, and we're going to put the host name or the name of the computer we're connecting to. In this case, it says it is bandit.labs.overthewire.org. Now, a lot of you may have tried just to hit enter here, right? And it's going to seem like it worked because it'll ask you for a fingerprint and you'll say yes, and then it'll ask you for a password like we see here, right? And you might think that this is correct, but it's not. If we put in the password, which is bandit0, we actually didn't connect to anything. And the reason for this is because by default, when we SSH, we're connecting on port 20, right? By default. If you don't specify a port, it is port 20. But if we look at the problem, they want us to connect on port 2220, right? So let's make that change. I'm going to do Control-C to end this command. I'm going to do Control-L to clear my screen, and we're going to try again. So I'm going to do SSH bandit0, my username, @ bandit.labs.overthewire.org, right? Once again, this is the name of the remote host. Now I'm going to do -P for port, and then 2220 as it has specified in the problem. All right. So now we get that same password prompt, and I'm going to type in bandit 0, and it will work for this one. Right, and we can tell it worked because now I'm bandit 0 at the machine, right, the hostname bandit. Let me ls real quick, right? Ls is basically just saying, let me list the contents. I'm then going to use the cat command, right? So ls list all of the contents that in our current directory. I'm then going to use cat to read the contents of text files here. So I'm going to use cat readme. And here is our password, right? And once you get the password and bandit over the wire, you're done. You're completely done. Awesome. You got it right. What we need to do here now is we actually have to quit out of this connection, right? Right now I'm connected to this remote machine and I'm not performing actions on my local host. So in order to actually quit out, I'm going to type exit and it brings me back to me, which is Ryan, right? Ryan on my Kali machine. I'm going to copy this password for future keeping. I'm going to hit my up arrow key and it's going to generate that SSH connection we did last time. Now to move on to problems, right? So we just solved problem 0. Right, when you move on, you're going to connect in the same way, and you're going to use the password from the previous problem to connect, right? So in this case, right, we have SSH, right? It's all the same syntax. The only thing we change is depending on the problem you're at, it's going to be a different username. So this one's going to be bandit1. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to use the password from the previous problem that I just solved, right? So you see me just pasting it here. I'm now connected. Once again, good practice. I'm going to ls to see all the contents here, and we see this file with a dash. Now, it might be strange, right? There doesn't seem to be much into this directory. I'm going to do ls-a, right, to see hidden directories. And as you see, it's really just this dash that matters, right? When you do ls-a, all it's saying is, show me hidden files, hidden directories. These are pretty default, right? These aren't going to matter all that much. So we just see the dash here. Right, this is all that matters to us. Similar to before, we should be able to cat this, right? I'm going to do cat period for this current directory / the file, and we get our answer. So let's talk through that though, because for new users of Linux, this may not make sense. We have in Linux these things called directory, right? I'm going to do pwd actually to print the current directory I'm in, right? I'm in this directory. We're able to navigate through this directory in a couple ways. One way is by using these dots, right? So this single dot represents current directory, right? So when I have a single dot, right, current directory, I'm just saying home / bandit1, right? I'm specifying where I currently am. But when I do a double dot, I'm going up to the parent directory, right? So we see this is my current directory, home bandit1. The parent directory would just be / home, right? It's one directory up, or in this case, to the left. So if I do cd, which is change directory, ... I should, in theory, be brought just to home. This bandit1 should no longer be the case. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to do pwd again. And as we see, I have moved back a directory. I've moved up one to now my parent directory. I'm now going to change back to my original directory, right? cd to bandit1, right? And I should now see the same contents I saw before. Right, so just to explain the cat command we ran before, the period stands for a file in this current directory. The /, right, that's just what comes before the file name, right, and then the file name itself, right, is all you need to print this. Once again, cat is basically just a way to read the contents of files, right? In this case, to read the contents of this text file, which has our password. Cool, so that was problem number 1. Problem number 2. As we did before, I'm going to type exit to exit out of the shell. I'm going to hit the up arrow key to generate my query from before. I'm going to change bandit1 to bandit2, right, to specify I'm working on the second problem. We're going to use the password we just obtained, right? Copy it, paste it, hit enter, and we are now in bandit2. Right, so let's see what bandit2 asks us to do. The password for the next level is stored in a file called spaces in this file name located in the home directory. Okay, so that's ls to list contents again, and we see the file name, right? The trick to this problem though is there's spaces in the file name, right? So if I do cat spaces in this file name, right, it's not going to work. It's going to view these each as a separate request, right? And it's going to say, no, we can't read any of these, right? There's no file name spaces, right? Because there's only one file. There's no file name in, there's no file name this, right? We need cat to have a way to read all of this as one string of text. So how do we do that? Well, we could do cat sp and hit tab, right? And it'll autocomplete for us, and we'll get our password. Or if you don't want to cheat, you could do spaces, backslash, right? This is an escape character, right? This backslash, basically saying, okay, I know the next character is going to be strange for us, right? But get ready for it. In backslash this backslash file name, right? You don't need a backslash at the end here. So what the backslash does is it makes it so the spaces in between the file name aren't misconstrued as separate arguments, right? And when we hit cat, this should now work. Let's try, let's see, what happens if we do this, right? What if I just put it in quotations? It also works, right? So this is the way in which you're probably more familiar with, right? Why not just put in quotations? You could do that, but I also want us to get comfortable with this idea of using escape characters as well, right? Once again, the escape character is saying, okay, I want you to ignore what the next thing usually means, and I want you to take it as just a literal part of the string, right? So this, right, doing this is the same exact thing as just using quotations here. Awesome. So we now have our password for the third one. I'm going to exit, hit the up arrow key. The usual, go all the way back to Bandit 2, make it Bandit 3. And I'm going to steal this password that we just obtained and paste it. Okay, what's 3 asking us? For 3, the password for the next level is stored in a hidden file in the in here directory. Right? I actually showed you before how to find hidden files, so this shouldn't be too bad. So let's do ls, and we see there's an in here directory. I can't cat this because it's not a text file, right? It's actually a directory. And for those who do not know, a directory is basically just, let's see if I could pull my file system. A directory is basically just like a folder, right? Think of your Mac or your Windows machine, right? You probably have directories, different folders inside one of another, right? So because of that, right, it's basically the same thing here, right? So I can't read the documents like folder here, right? Because it has a ton of stuff in it and it's not a text file. But I can navigate into it and keep navigating through directories until I find a text file, right? And we see one here. So let me cd, which stands for change directory, into that directory. And we actually see that our path has changed, right? I'm going to do pwd. I'm now in the in here directory. I'm going to do Control L to clear my screen, and I'm going to ls to list contents. Now, ls, I don't see anything, right? That's kind of strange, right? There should be something in here. So as we showed before, if you do ls space -a, you can search for hidden files. And we actually see this hidden file right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cat period hidden, right? You could hit tab complete, and you will find your file here, right? So just make sure you're copying the name exactly as it is, because if I just do cat hidden, it will not work, right? The period is part of the name. Cool. Let's exit. Let's tackle bandit problem number 4, just cruising through. Okay, I'm going to paste the password from before, hit enter, and I'm going to read the problem, what it's asking me. The password is stored in the only human readable file in here directory. Tip, if your terminal is messed up, try the reset command. We shouldn't need to do that, right? It gives you some commands to solve the problem. Okay, let's try it out. ls, right? We see the in here directory, right? pwd. I'm currently in Bandit 4. I'm going to cd to in here, right? Change directory to that directory. And now as you see, I'm in a different location. I'm now in the in here location. I'm going to ls, and we're going to see there are actually a bunch of files here. So what I could do, in order to find out the file type of a file, I could actually use a command called file, right? There's a command called file, right? And it basically gives us some basic usage here. Right? Let me clear my screen. So I'm going to use file, right? And I'm going to use it on some of the different file names here. Let's try it out, see what happens. Right? It says, oh, can't open that. Let's try with quotations, right? Let's see what happens. Oh, still can't open it, right? So we're going to have to actually do something else here. Right? The quotations we used before didn't work. What you're actually going to need to do is specify this directory, /, right? And then the name of the file you're looking for. So we have a couple ways to do this, right? As we saw before, quotations does not work with the file command, right? Typing the name as is does not work because this character, right? This actually breaks things, right? It's a special character. So what we need to do is we need to do file, period, / right? Period meaning current directory, / and then the whole file name, and then we get our information. So what I could do is I could go through one by one and try to find the different file types in here, right? And keep in mind, once again, as the question said, we're looking for something that is a human readable file. All right, I'm going to keep going through, and eventually I will get it, right? ASCII text. So I could do this manually, or I could do this all in one fell swoop. I could do file, period, / and asterisk, right? This is basically just going to do this automatically to all of the files in this directory, right? And if we hit enter, we see, okay. So files 0 through 6, all data, the data type, right? What does that mean? Let's look. The data type is basically just something that isn't readable to human beings, right? However, file 07 is an ASCII, right? ASCII is characters like numbers, letters, right? All of those. So if we try to cat that instead, I'm just going to hit enter just so I get my command down here. All right, so I'm going to cat the one file that came out differently as the ASCII text. If I cat this, we'll see our password. Right, so just to explain one more time, this file command will tell you the type of file that you are currently looking at, right? If we do file command, period for current directory, / and then this wildcard, this asterisk, it'll query all of them in the whole directory at once, so we don't have to do it individually like I showed before. And here we are with our password. Okay, we're going to move on to the final problem here. Bandit 5. Okay, put my password in, hit enter. ls as usual, cd to in here like we are used to by now. Ooh, cd. I'm going to ls, and we see we have, and we can tell by the fact that it's blue, a ton of different directories. We could also tell that these are directories because if we do ls dash uppercase F, we see that they have / at the end. You could also do ls dash L, right? And you'll know it's a directory because it has a D here, right? Tons of ways to find out that all of these are directory. So once again, we're here. Let's look at what the problem's asking us to do. Password for the next level is stored in a file somewhere under the in here directory, has all of the following properties: human readable, 130 bytes in size, right? Okay, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to use a command called find. This will allow us to find files either based off of their name, their file size, their permissions, or even, their file type. So what I'm going to do is find period / for this current directory, -F for file type, right? I'm going to do, we'll do -size. I'm going to do -size first for 1033C, right? This is just standing for the amount of bytes that needs to be, right? We see behind the screen needs to be 1033 in bytes. Next, I'm going to do -type, and I'm going to do F, right? This is going to be for human readable. I'll show you in a second basically what that means. If we hit enter, we see this answer. So before we go through the answer, I just want to put this into a website I love called Explain Shell, which will break down any command you write one by one. Okay, let's put this here. Okay, Explain Shell, it's awesome. I just put the command I just wrote in here and it broke it down one by one. The find part is for files in a directory. This is the path, right? -size uses n units of space, right? C, we used 1033C for bytes, right? Why did we do that? Because the problem specified it's bytes. Next up, we did type F, right? We did type F, right? What does F stand for? It just stands for regular file, right? Or for us, it's going to be just a readable file. So just to repeat basically everything we just talked about. We have this command called find. It'll search through directories, search through your system, and try to find files that fit the specifications you give it. So we have this command called find. We told it only to look in our current directory, which once again is the in here directory. And we said to look for something with a size of 1033 bytes, and that is a type, a regular type, right? A specific type, and that is the regular type. And we got maybe here 07. Now to print this out and to see the password, I'm just going to do cat and then this whole string of text, Control-Shift-V, and we get our password. All right, that's it. Those were Bandit over the wire Bandit problems 0 through 5. Let me know if it was too fast, too slow, too much explanation, not enough explanation. Always open to feedback. But that is pretty much it for today. I hope you all have a great night. And yeah, thank you for watching.